It's Auto In with your hosts, Seth Kelly and Garrett Walder. In this episode, how does the PBN create instant replays for their broadcasts? Is it hard to do? And how instanty is it really? Without further ado, Auto In.
Hello everyone, welcome back. No, I'm going to do that again because I started clipping. Hello everyone, welcome back to... I literally clipped again.
Oh no. Just talk quieter.
Hello everybody. Welcome to Auto In. We're back with the second episode because you guys liked the first episode so much. And today we're going to be talking about instant replay and other things. I am Seth Kelly. We also have our other host.
Hello, I am Garrett Walder. You may remember me from the first episode, or maybe
as
not.
The AC parka guy, or the AC pants guy.
Yeah, the rip-off sleeve parka vest contraption.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And
when are we going to get those?
When are we going to get those?
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of people listen to our first.
We figured out the problem was, because Chris told us, we figured out the problem was the door keeps getting left open. And so all the AC comes out. And so there's like AC coming into us and also other like warmer environment things from other rooms coming also into us. And so that's why it's perpetually hot and cold. That's the scientific reason.
So what I'm hearing is our podcast actually caused like a discovery, as in we made change in the world through our podcast.
You know what else our podcast caused?
What?
It caused our special guest to come on the show today, and his name is...
Not Will Moulton. It is Caleb Todd. Good morning.
That is not, in fact, Will Moulton.
So what led your mother to name you Caleb Todd?
I don't know. I think the only reasoning behind it was it's a Bible name.
Okay.
I don't really get why
Which
it was
one,
Caleb
Caleb or
as opposed
Todd?
to any other biblical name.
Wait, which one? Caleb or Todd?
I don't remember a Caleb
Caleb.
Todd in the Bible.
Oh, okay.
Todd is Scottish for fox.
Oh.
And foxes have holes, and what was it? Foxes have holes and something has dens, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head.
It is biblical.
So
Caleb Todd
both.
is a biblical name, confirmed.
Indeed. What other things can we filibuster through before we get to the point? Actually, let's just get to the point. Why don't we? Does that
What
sound
is
good?
the point, Seth?
The point today is replay. Let's first go into what is replay. Raise your hand before you speak.
Replay is exactly what it sounds like it is. It's where you take previously recorded footage and play it back live so that people can see the same thing again.
Indeed. Also called instant replay because we do it instantly. I think that was one question that we got for the Q&A that we're probably just going to end up answering. So shout out to Andrew from Penang, Malaysia for that question, but we're going to talk about like how we make the replay instant. How do we actually like on the go get it so that the pre-recorded footage, you know, we don't have to do it all the way at the end of the game and play back the recorded footage in the final product. We actually do that spontaneously as the game goes on. And so that's replay. Are volunteers and or student workers assigned this job? Who is assigned this job normally?
So for most of last season, it was Travis, who is no longer at DBU. He graduated. So for this coming spring, when sports happen again, we're going to mix it up and have as many people as possible learn to run replay so that we don't have to depend on a short list of people to run it.
When sports go on, we have some volunteers run replay. It's just Chris wants everyone to get on replay at some point. Because it's very good for them to not only, like I said last episode, I think to hype this episode up, it's very good to learn how to run the machine for the sake of running replay for the broadcast. But the broader implications of that is you learn how to stay on your feet and you learn how to work fast, which helps you in other positions such as TD and especially director. Because you have to react fast.
Yeah, it also does require a good degree of multitasking as well, because not only are you having to get the replay ready on your little console, which, just in case, just brief overview, from what I can tell, and this is coming from somebody who's actually never ran replay before, so I may be completely wrong, and Seth, please come over and slap me in the face if I'm speaking heresy against replay.
Okay, I'll do it if you're right, too.
Actually, yeah, that would be fun, you know? So there's like this lever looking thing and these buttons, and somehow you use those two in combination to get a replay ready so that when the director cues you and basically says, roll replay, that's not what they actually say, but close enough.
Right.
They'll the person on replay will hit it and start the replay. So you're having to pay attention to the game to find potential replays, get those replays ready, and also be paying attention to the director because you have to listen for them to cue you to start the replay. So you're essentially having to follow three different jobs almost at the same time. So it's very big into multitasking alongside the other skills that you mentioned.
Yeah, in fact, the name of this podcast, Auto In, we also mentioned this, is the Auto In is the name of the button that we push to bring in a replay. The director will say fly, and then the person running replay will know that at that point they have to play the replay that they had that they were recording the whole time. So the tasks that the job involves and the technology that is involved in replay go very hand in hand. And so the technology we use is this machine called the 3-play machine. And it's this box that lays right next to two monitors that are displaying the computer program that we run, also I believe called 3-play. And the parts of the machine, we have a scrubber, I think you call it. It's this
the scrub
thing
wheel
that you go all circly on. And for the record, I need to establish we record on 3-play the game as it's happening. And so that's why we're able on the machine through the scrubber to scrub back to a previous point in the broadcast and be able to play that again. We also have the in and out buttons where we compile clips of the broadcast by going back with the scrubber, pressing in, and then playing to a certain point where we want the clip to cut off, and then pressing out. And that's how we store a lot of clips for our broadcasts, things like highlights for the athletics department, and especially things like replay packages that we play later, either during like a break in the game or after the game during halftime, things like that. And the T-bar that Garrett was describing is made to adjust the speed of the of the playback. And so whenever we press play, it'll play it back at a regular speed if the T-bar is all the way up, but we can turn the speed down in order to get really dramatic slow motion shots to up the drama of the replay. It's one of the most creative positions of the broadcast. TD, you press buttons, and the director is probably the most creative job because you're creatively visualizing what the broadcast is going to look like. But replay, you really get to tell a story, especially with the what's it called, the playlists where we do the replay packages and such. And so it's quite an involved job because you have to do all of these things. You have to scrub back, press in, play when the director says fly. Play when the director says roll. Fly is what the director says in order to tell the TD to press the button auto in order to bring in the replay.
Yeah.
And then roll is when you play the replay, and then the replay plays for a little bit, and then when it's done, you press out and you add it to a clip and name it and things like that. And I haven't done a lot of baseball, and Caleb, you've done quite a bit of baseball, so walk us through like A-B replays and A-B replays.
So there's two main ways we do A-B replays. One is so that you can fade from A to B, which are playing together when they're linked. And so you fade from A to B and maybe back to A to show different angles with a smooth transition instead of just a hard cut. What you can also do unlinked with A and B is you choose the angles first, you play A and go through that, and once the replay for A ends, you go back to B and it fades and shows the same play again from a different angle.
And that's probably the most stressful thing for me. That's what made replay very, like, I needed to get a very strong foundation of running replay for volleyball and soccer and basketball before, because each one kind of builds on the next. I found that volleyball was easier than soccer to run replay, because soccer, games go longer, and so it's harder to focus because you're not doing as many replays. The game isn't as saturated with especially cool things that would deserve getting on replay packages. And volleyball, you're still working just as fast, but with less options for camera angles for replay.
And there's breaks after every play in volleyball, so it's more objective as to when replays are shown.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When in soccer, you could gamble and show a replay during a live ball, but oftentimes it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But then when you wait for a dead ball, the time may have passed. So it's more up to the discretion of the director. When in volleyball, there's a break at the end of every point, and that's the perfect time to show a replay.
Yeah. And you know what's surprisingly difficult, actually, is the replays during Rocket League. So for those who don't know, the Patriot Broadcast Network started replaying, but also there's going to be esports teams at DBU now. And
just one. We only have one.
We
right?
just have one?
Oh, no. Do we have multiple?
No, there's
Is it a
the
league?
Rocket League. There's the Rocket League team. There's Smash Bros. There's FIFA, apparently, and NBA 2K, I believe.
And Madden, yes.
And Madden. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
And I believe it's different people for each one. There may be some crossover, but as far as I'm aware, it's different people. But for Rocket League, we were doing some Rocket League test streams relatively recently. And for the test streams, it wasn't like we were actually really doing anything with it. It was more so just making sure all the technology worked, since we've never really done that before with esports. And the thing about Rocket League, for those who don't know, it's a game about playing soccer with cars with giant rockets strapped to the back of them, so they can go neum really fast. And
I love this.
yeah, they can even fly too, so they go like whoosh. Yeah, it's great. They should have had me as like the audio engineer for this.
Yeah,
you know?
I please,
We can make
Psionics make a version of Rocket League where you just hire Garrett to do all the sound effects.
Yeah, they can have the Garrett dub of the game where, it's just like I'm singing all the vocals for the background music, so I'm over here like up in the sky
And all the instruments.
way above the clouds. Yeah, and all the instruments like and the percussion like boop, 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 boop. That was not percussion. I don't know what that was. But what was I talking about? Oh, right. Yeah. So Rocket League test stream. And so Chris was directing it in the room. I was on TriCaster, or TD, right? Is the position? That's what that's called?
Yeah,
TD.
we don't call it TriCaster. That's the computer program we use.
Oh, yeah. Well, TD. So
Yeah.
I was on TD, and Chris was directing, and then Austin was on replay. And I believe it was his first time on a replay, and it was my first time as TD. And we were just kind of learning how to do it. Since, it's a safe environment, we're not actually streaming it anywhere, and we're testing it anyway. Might as well put the new people on the more difficult position so they can learn, right?
Yeah.
And at one point, Chris leaves the room to go work on the broadcast down, I believe, at the esports room. Yeah, so I basically am put in the position of director, right? But the thing about Rocket League is that after every goal, there's already a replay in the game.
Yeah.
So it comes down to timing it to where your replay starts at the same time as the replay in the game, and then ending it at the same time as the replay in the game. Because otherwise, you either in-game goes to a replay, and then you then cut and go to a replay.
Right.
Or you have to, or, you start it at a little bit early, and then you leave the replay into a replay. So you'll see the same goal like twice immediately after each other, probably from the same camera angle. And then it just looks awkward. Or the other problem too is that there's also a skip replay option in the game. So you have to take the gamble of, are the players going to skip the replay in their game, making it to where you're going to miss stuff if you go into a replay on the stream. It was very interesting. I don't know. I wasn't expecting that, but it became kind of fun. It was like a little game, It was like a high risk casino sort of thing,
So we actually changed the way we're going to be doing replay for Rocket League. So during the games, since the game automatically shows a replay of every goal, we just let the game do it for us.
Oh, okay.
And then so what we're going to use 3Play for is any like highlights between games. Since the games only last 5 minutes, there's breaks every 5 to 6 minutes depending on how long the game actually lasts. But we'll have highlights compiled in the playlist section of 3Play so that between games we can show like a summary of the game through highlights. And we can also show saves which aren't shown by Rocket League. They only show the goals. So you can have saves or any other highlights that happen in between.
There's a lot to figure out with replay when we're doing new sports. We were doing lacrosse for a little while. I think we did one lacrosse game last year, and we figured out that the replay guy makes about 5 clips throughout the whole game, and that's goals. That's like cool catches and passes and such. And so it's a pretty chill broadcast. It's a chill broadcast. Has anybody ever like used chill twice to describe something? Like
you just did.
I mean, I was gauging how normal that is because it's not.
It's a Gucci Cabo Chill, Rolls Royce, Polo by Ralph Lauren.
Welp, on that on that note, we are going to take a break, and then after the break, we're gonna come back with a couple of like personal stories and other things that are specific to people in the PBN regarding replay. That's very vague, but you're gonna get it once we get into this segment.
Yeah.
So let's take a break, and then we'll get back to that. All right, break over. For you guys, that was probably about like 10 seconds or something, maybe 5 seconds. For us, it was a solid like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
We basically just sat here
works.
and stared at Seth until he told us to talk again.
Indeed. Yeah.
Which was nice. You know, like of all the people to look at, Seth is a good person to look at, you know?
I don't know how to
I
take that.
I appreciate the aesthetics.
Okay,
of
do we
Seth's
remember the
face.
time? I don't think you would have known this, but this was when Seth just started working there. His picture on the worker profile was not him.
Yes.
It was
I
someone who
remember
looked.
that.
It was someone who looked vaguely like him, but had a very prominent jawline and black hair and no glasses.
Right. Black curly hair as well.
And I was like,
Amazing.
Seth, did you dye your hair? And he's like, no, that's not me.
Okay, so let's get into some replay. Some replay. Like talking about replay, not playing replays. We can't do that through audio. Actually, we can. Right now, we're going to play a 10-second replay of something that happened in the broadcast, starting now.
Up in the sky, way above the clouds.
Yeah, and all the instruments like and the percussion like boop, 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 boop.
I have no words.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy when that happened earlier, wasn't it?
So who is / was, I think we touched on this. The person who was the go-to guy for replay when he was working here is Travis.
I could give some shout outs to like some of the other go-tos over the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Travis was definitely A1, but we also had Will King and John Stevenson. Selena Hope ran it a few times, and Seth, you were also really good at it, especially come later in volleyball and soccer seasons.
You know, it doesn't anything. Oh my god. There are just moments when I want to say something and then I'm just like, no, that's stupid, and then I like just trail off.
He looked at me, and I just gave him the most condescending blink I could.
That's true. Let's do a super smooth transition from that to talking about like unspoken or given rules about replay. When they teach you replay, what are some things that you need to know that they don't necessarily think to tell you when they're first teaching it to you?
Ooh, this will
but
be
you learn
helpful,
on the
actually.
job.
I would say the thing I learned from watching Travis was to get ready for the next move as early as possible. So when he's running replays, and this is what we do, especially for baseballs, we'll have it in live mode. So you see the live feeds of each of the 4 cameras. And the moment the play starts, like the moment the pitch is thrown, you like scrub it back just a little bit so it pauses. And since 3Play is already recording what's still happening, you have the beginning of the replay already set so that you can have it ready like as soon as the play ends from the beginning of the pitch.
There's one thing that sometimes we do for basketball games, especially when a play is under review. Actually, only when a play is under review. We will put replay into program, which means it's going into the broadcast, but we won't play the replay just smoothly, just play it. We'll scrub it forward a little bit and then scrub it back a little bit and then scrub it forward a little bit, and we'll do that over and over again. But it looked when I was on basketball replay, it just felt so wrong that nothing was moving sometimes. Like I was scrubbing back and forth. It felt so unnatural. And of course, I don't really watch sports. I should, because I'm working, broadcasting sports, and I need to know how it looks. But that's something that they sometimes do in actual sports broadcasts, and I didn't know that, and so I was like freaking out when I was asked to do that. Do you have any unspoken or given rules about Oh no, you haven't ever run replay.
I've never run replay. No, I was kind of hoping you guys would actually like teach me some unspoken rules, because I've never done it before, so I wouldn't. No rules have ever been spoken to me, so I guess any rule is an unspoken rule.
I think the biggest unspoken rule is just ahead is on time, and on time is behind.
Yes, absolutely. You got to think. That's one thing that Chris says whenever we're running replay. Not think one step ahead, but think 3 steps ahead. And that's also what he says when directing.
Also, turn left to go right.
Turn left to go right. There was some sign that I saw, like. It was a picture on the internet of this sign that said on a street that said right lane must right left.
Nice. So you got to pull out a piece of paper and be like, okay, L, E, F,
people honking behind
T.
you.
Yeah, everyone's just behind him with their hazards on, like, hurry up. I already have it written down. What's taking you so long?
But now that I think about it, I was thinking, oh, of course, they meant right lane must turn left. But that doesn't make any sense either, because if you're in the right lane, it's a huge hazard to go forward and turn left, because there are all of these cars driving forward.
I don't know where I was the other day. I did at the time know where I was, but I don't.
I woke up and I had no idea where I was. I didn't know my name.
I just kind of ended up
there. University I went to. It was crazy.
No, I didn't know. I did know that. Hold on, let me restart. I did know where I was. I do not remember in the current moment where I was. Yes, but regardless, the important thing was I was driving on a road specifically. And that road, at one point, in the right-hand turn lane, had a left turn indicator on the floor, or not floor. What do you call cement floor? Or wait, no,
the ground.
No, the floor that cars drive on. Road. On the road.
On the cars drive on. I've never heard of road described like that.
The left turn little arrow going swoop over to the left, right? It was in the right turn lane, which
that's so weird.
But that's just such an obvious thing
Oversight.
To fix that I don't know why it's. First of all, why it was there in the first place, but secondly, why it's still there. Because you're going to get someone. It was when I was there. I don't know where it is. I can't go back and check.
Remember that day. When he woke up,
I didn't know where I was, so I can't go back and check.
That leads into a question I have. What is the road that people walk on? What is that called?
But we should probably get them back on topic for.
Yeah. So let's give a difficulty rating to replay on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's each go around, starting with, I think, with you, Caleb, because you know the most about it.
Okay, I'm going to give a long answer for this, but it depends on the sport for me. So, soccer replay might be a 4 or 5, and volleyball around the same thing. Baseball, I'll give a 7 to 7.5, maybe 8 out of 10. And then basketball replay, I'll give it a 9 or 10.
Oh, you'd say basketball replay is harder than baseball?
Yes,
replay.
Baseball to me is more predictable, and there's breaks between the plays. Basketball is nonstop.
Oh, yeah.
And more fast-paced than baseball is. So baseball takes longer and there's more plays, but it's easier to know which plays are going to be replays.
Yeah, I guess when you do a lot of replay on baseball, your opinion changes, because my opinion was that baseball was harder than basketball, but I kind of see where you're coming from, because I was just overwhelmed with the AB replays. The fact that I had to play
That's fair.
one camera angle on A, and then like I had to link them both first and then scrub them both back at the same time, and then unlink them and play A, and then whenever they needed me to play B, I needed to go to B and press play. And then theoretically in AB replays, I would go to A again and I would scrub it back to a different point, and then I would play that, and then they would fade into that, and then I would press B and scrub back to a different point, and then they would fade into B, and then after that then the replay would be over. I don't think I ever got to the point where I was good at that, but I think with more practice, just because my first baseball season was cut in half, probably more than half actually, by COVID. And so yeah, I wish I got more practice on replay, but I would agree with you that it depends on the sport. Because I really enjoyed volleyball and soccer and I enjoyed volleyball and basketball replay the most. I think volleyball was my favorite sport to do replay on. But baseball was just really stressful, and I think it would have been less stressful if I was able to get more practice. Circumstances made it so that I wasn't able to. But maybe to average all the numbers, I'd also maybe put it at around a 7 or an 8. I didn't think about this, but I guess you can't give a very accurate difficulty rating.
I mean, I can give one based off of, absolutely nothing. No kind of experience at all.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna give it a 9.8 out of 10.
Okay.
The 0.2 is taken off from the difficulty because you get to play with a little spinny thing, which is kind of fun.
Which is
also you get to pull a lever and go like thud, 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 and like make it go like woo woo and stuff like that. Like but until you're good at it, it looks terrifying.
Right.
If you can run replay at the speed of basketball and the frequency of baseball, you can do anything in the PBN that we do.
Yeah. Especially, and you can do everything that is expected of you as well. Chris is very good about, if you just don't know enough about what you are doing, he's very good about meeting you where you're at. Like, challenging you to do more than you think you can do, but if you really can't do it, then he'll show you how. He will make sure that you can do it, so that next time he expects you to do it, you will be able to. He's very good about that. Cool. So that being said, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to get into some Q&A questions and a news piece about a PBN worker, one of our own. So
wow.
Let's take a break, and then we'll get back to it. Welcome back to Auto In. I hope you enjoyed our groovy little music transition thing. And today it's not ours. It's Jesse Leicht's.
Yeah.
Shout out to him because he did an amazing job with the intro music.
Thank you
and
for
the transition music. Let's get into our first question. The PBN is or I should introduce the person who asked it. Robin from Houston, Texas asks, the PBN is a sports network. Do all of you love sports?
Speaking for myself, yes. Speaking for everyone, not everyone loves it. But that doesn't take away from the job, because there's things we do that's other than sports. We'll do commencements. Right now we're doing chapels. And then there's some, like, even just equipment maintenance and learning that goes into it that someone who doesn't, like, love sports can enjoy.
Yeah, so, like, for me personally, I've never been a huge sports person. I don't mind sports. I have fun if like I go to a sports game or whatever, but I'm not the type of person who's gonna come home and be like, all right, time to watch football on Sunday, or like time to watch whatever sport is out there. There's probably more than football.
As you can. Football.
I'm an American, okay? I just know football. There's literally no other sport. But the thing is, like, okay, well, I would actually watch hockey. I just haven't ever really sat down to do it and get real invested in it. But my point is, yeah, I'm not a big.
He's doing a lot of like.
No, the general term for football.
Gestures.
Sport. I'm not a big sports person. That's what I was trying to get at.
you're good at sentences and you can speak today, but there are simple words like sports and road that you trip up on, and we have to like explain to you.
That's my problem, is especially recently, and I don't know why, I've been forgetting words, just general words, really easily. Like, it's not a situation of like I have a concussion, I can't like, form sentences. It's just like in the middle of a sentence there'll just be a blank, and I'm like, shoot.
Fill in the blanks quizzes.
It's like
are so relatable.
It's like as if conversations are Mad Libs, right? But like, you forget what to put in the blank, so you're just kind of sitting there like, Mr. Jeffers told the cat. Oh no. I don't know.
What did Mr. Jeffers tell the
like
cat?
I know what he told the cat, but I don't know the word for what he told the cat. Oh yeah, I'm not a huge sports person.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way as Garrett. I'm not a huge sports person either, but yeah, I agree that it doesn't take away from the job. We do quite a few things that aren't sports, and even when we do sports, we learn a lot of things that are general to all kinds of broadcasts, news broadcasts, game show broadcasts, other kinds of, event broadcasts, talk shows, things like that. There are some general principles and general technologies that are used all throughout the broadcast field, and it's not just sports. For example, we're using comparable technology, kind of cheaper technology, but comparable technology to what we use at the PBN at our church. Like we use a switcher, we use a digital audio, we use a digital soundboard on an iPad. We have a computer program that works relatively the same as the TriCaster. The camera's principles that we use, such as how to do focus racks and zooming in and zooming out, panning left and right, tilting up and down, locking cameras, or unlocking tripods, things like that. They are very general to all kinds of broadcast fields. And so if you're interested in working with the PBN or with volunteering with the PBN at any point in the future, that's one thing to keep in mind, that if you're not a big sports person, it's still a great experience working at the PBN because you learn a whole lot more than just how to broadcast sports.
Our second question is from April from Lawton, Oklahoma. And she asks, would you rather always be 10 minutes late or always be 20 minutes early?
I should have thought about this. I literally knew that the question was coming, and
you're the one that got the question.
I was the one that got the question, exactly, and I didn't even think of my answer. Would I always be 10 minutes late? 10 minutes late
or 20 minutes early?
I think I would always be 20 minutes early because one general principle of broadcast, which is what we, for broadcast, but general for life as well, that Caleb touched on, is that if you are early, you're on time. That's not just for running replays. That's also for coming in at the call time. Chris emphasizes that here he expects us to be there at the call time. But at a real job, if you come crashing in if the call time's 5:30 and you come barging in at exactly 5:30, that's not going to look particularly good for you. You do want to be early. And so that's why I'd say always be 20 minutes early, because I also just tend to try to be early. That's one thing we learned in our CLS class, actually, is the people who tend to be late tend to also be the people that try very hard to show up on time. And for the people who try to show up early, they end up being on time. So that's one general principle. Early is on time is late is fired.
Yeah. And with the call time too, especially, you can kind of think of it as like a deadline for an assignment, where it's not just like a general, because I think another problem too, along with the whole kind of what you said about, if you try really hard to be on time, you usually end up late. Another problem too is that, and I am this way, I'm speaking from my own experience, people, including myself, have the problem of seeing times to be somewhere as more of like you're going to be around there generally. like 10 minutes late, 10 minutes early, that time, kind of like a 10-minute margin sort of thing, rather than like this is when you're supposed to be there. And now there are some exceptions to that, but like it's just kind of generally been accepted, I think, by a lot of people that, when you give a time 10 minutes later than that, like isn't a huge deal. But in the world of like broadcasts and stuff like that, everything has to be on time. Everything has to be so finely there is margin for error, but it's usually much smaller than just, like going to see a friend at a coffee house at like 10 or whatever, So
that was very specific. At 10?
Well, I meant to say 10 minutes, but I was about to say at 10 minutes.
Oh,
and I was like, wait,
10.
that doesn't make sense. So I just cut out the minutes. So I'm like, that will just be oddly specific.
I think there was literally a point this week when we met at the coffee house at 10.
I think we did, actually.
So I was like,
yeah,
that's oddly specific.
Yeah, I'm talking about Seth. Anyway, so with the call times, it's more like a deadline for a class, right? Where like you have your essay, it's due at 10. Now you can get it sent in at 10, but that's like really pushing it. And like, again, it's not going to look good for you if you're submitting all your work right at the deadline. And you're also risking being late. And if you're late, it's not going to go through and you're probably not going to get that submitted and get the points for it, i.e. in this context, you're going to get fired.
Yeah.
So, I didn't give my answer. I mean, you can probably tell from what I'm saying, but like 20 minutes early, because 10 minutes late is just rude. Like for anything, right? Because then you become that guy. Like you're the guy that is, everyone's like, oh, we gotta wait 20 minutes because the person's not going to be here.
You have to tell them a different time so that they show up on time.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, yeah. And when you have to do that, you're too consistent.
Yeah, I think the holdup a lot of people have with being 20 minutes early everywhere is every time you have to do something that's 20 minutes, it's just wasted. But there's ways to make that 20 minutes productive.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into our news piece for this week. Our news piece for this week is... how many times can I intro this news piece by saying the news piece for this week?
Do it again.
So
go for the high score, Seth.
The news piece for this week is...
wait, hold on. What's the news piece for this week?
The news piece for this week is pretty similar to the news piece from last week in structure, but it's the news piece from this week.
Oh, okay.
Which is the same, actually, as the news piece from this week. And the news piece from this week is... Austin Hill gets shoes that Bluetooth to his phone thanks to being on the hockey team. What do you guys think about that?
Absolutely incredible. Science has gone too far.
Austin, if you're listening, send me an Amazon link to those shoes.
Yes.
But Bluetooth, what do they do though?
Maybe they're
Do you just
I think they play music.
Wait, really? There's speakers in your feet?
It's either a speaker shoe or it connects to the phone and acts as a more accurate pedometer.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's just something I just now thought of, but I think it's music.
I literally would have believed the latter
I think
easier than I would have.
I do actually think that that's a possibility, but I'm not
Here,
sure.
what are they called? I'll look them up.
Yeah,
right
we
now.
could just Google Bluetooth shoes.
Bluetooth
and see what
We're in the
appears.
process
shoes.
of Googling Bluetooth shoes to see.
Oh, dang. There's women's Under Armour shoes. Do you think he has those?
Oh, here's the Under Armour connected footwear page.
Ooh.
Okay. I didn't realize this was this much of a thing. Bluetooth
Apparently,
shoes.
this is like a whole
It's a
market.
pedometer thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It says it connects and stores and analyzes virtually every running metric so you know exactly what you need to do to get better.
Wouldn't that be great, though, if they were speaker shoes? Do
Also,
those
it
exist?
says they provide a zero gravity feel.
You can just
So somehow
float
those
in the
shoes
air?
literally make you be able to float and like just gravity doesn't even affect you anymore when you have those shoes
Zero
on.
gravity is risky, though, because if you just start going up, you can't really stop yourself. There needs to be like 0.1% gravity, so eventually you'll come back down.
Eventually
But
there'll
it
be
won't be
enough
painful.
friction for you to stop.
It's up but darker. He doesn't stop when he reaches the top of the atmosphere. He just keeps going up,
He just
and then he
keeps
gets suffocated in space. Along with
Nice.
Russell, and they never meet Doug or Kevin.
Well, but the question would become, would the house be able to survive the atmosphere? Because theoretically, like the balloons would just keep taking them
balloons
up,
are-
right? But the house is made of
No, they
wood, so would
wouldn't.
the house just catch on fire?
Oh.
And then at that
Well, I
point,
think as air pressure gets lower, the balloons eventually match the air pressure of the air, and that's when it stops going up.
What? Wait, what? I didn't know that. Whoa, so think about like all the people, all the kids who dropped helium balloons. There's some layer over the atmosphere. That's the ozone layer.
Oh my goodness!
The ozone layer is literally
why-
a bunch of balloons that have been helium balloons that have been dropped by kids.
That's why the sun doesn't affect us, and why it's yellow, because of just a bunch of yellow balloons got put
it's
up there.
But sometimes it's not yellow. Sometimes it's red.
Oh!
Sometimes it's kind of like greenish. Sometimes it's purpley. It literally filters through balloons.
It's all based around what balloon is currently in front of the sun at a given time.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
We've done it.
I would rather be 20 minutes early than 10 minutes late.
All that is to say. Well, hold on. We're on the news piece at this point.
Oh, we were talking about
I know,
news.
that was a joke.
Oh, okay. Oh,
What was
that
the news?
funny.
Austin has
Good job.
shoes. Wow, he did it. Good job, Austin.
Wow, he wears shoes. That's crazy.
I wonder what size he wears.
You know what they don't. Okay, well that was
Okay.
fun. Okay, well on that note, I think we should talk about next week. What are we getting into next week? And that is camera operating. In fact, we have two possible guests in mind. We could have one of them, we could have both of them. We're going to see next week, but I don't want to give too much away. I just want to say it's gonna be awesome. Could be our best episode yet.
Yeah, camera operating's a really fun role, so hopefully we'll have some really fun stories about that.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about the possible guests that were coming on, but that's also true. Camera operating is cool, especially if you're first getting into broadcast. This is a widely applicable job. This is one of the first jobs that you'll probably get on if you're getting into either church media work or broadcasting at a school. If you're first getting into broadcasting, camera operating is going to be one of the first things that you learn, and it's a good job. It's cool, and we're going to talk about it in detail next week. Okay, well, thank you very much, Caleb, for coming in.
It was too much fun.
Well, I'm glad.
I'm sorry it was too much fun. We'll try to make it less fun next time.
Oh, no. Caleb just shot Garrett with the Patriots hand thing.
Foam finger.
Foam finger. That's what the better thing. Patriots hand thing is not. Well, yes. Any last words before we sign off? All right. Well, this has been Auto In, hosted by Seth Kelly and Garrett Walder, with special guest Caleb Todd, with music produced and performed by Jesse Liked and logo designed by John Brazino. Thank you for listening, and see you next week.
I do have some last words.
Oh, okay.
Almost every meme is just a good bad comparison.
How could you say something so controversial yet so true?
Auto
Wait,
out.
Brave. That was the meme. Dang it, I messed up the meme. Tragic.
Oh, auto out.